Good morning.
Hi,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Hi. I like your hair today, Nicole. It looks really pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
How are you?
Good. Good. Had a little issue with this mortgage loan thing. I feel like my mortgage lender is trying to tack on a bunch of extra fees. So I had to deal with that this today. So I'm not sure if the house is going to go through now.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah. It's pretty annoying.
What lending company are you using, if you don't mind sharing?
I was going through MSU because that's my bank. And then I found the perfect house and they were like, oh, well, MSU is known for being really slow. Like, we'll accept your offer if you change your mortgage lender.
What?
So I was like, okay. And then I went through Ideal Mortgage
Mhm.
and they like gave me one quote on closing costs and then gave me a completely different for like the estimate, and then for the closing disclosure it was a completely different amount with like different prices for a lot of the different things, and nothing really added up. And then it seemed like the lender was just pushing me, like trying to get me to sign the document and like worry about it later, and I was like, no,
That's not.
I'm not signing any more documents until I get this figured out. So I have to go take it to my aunt, who is a realtor for years. And so I have 3 different loan estimates, all with
Mhm.
different amounts.
Wow. What?
What?
And there's no difference, like obvious difference between them?
Well, the first I see specifically for the one that was sent on 6/1 was the processing fee for the broker went from $1,500 to $2,983. And so the total closing cost in their original estimate was 3,217. So that's the total loan cost. And for the one that they sent me on the 8th and wanted me to sign, the total loan cost is 6,418.
Magically. Oh,
Yeah, and then they had to do like some magic voodoo here because underneath total closing costs, it says lender credits
okay.
minus $2,720. And I feel like they just put that in there so it was like kind of near the balance. And then he's like, oh, it's just because in the first estimate we sent you, we took out your escrow and all of the things you put down already, but we didn't in the second one. And I was like, but now you have, like, I actually did that. And you have copies of the check
Wow.
and everything. So it was all a bit fishy. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll go through now. I don't, honestly, I was paying more than the appraisal price on this house just because I fell in love with it. And if this is going to be like this, I don't know if I really want to do it.
Yeah. Well, there'll always be more houses, but definitely make sure you trust your gut. That's my friend's a realtor, and she's always like, if it doesn't feel right, it's not. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good feedback to give. Hi, McKenna. How are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm doing well.
Good. Where are you joining us from?
I am at my parents' house right now. I I had got a flat tire while I was like moving out of my college housing, and so I can't really get up to where I'm supposed to be right now. So the internet's a little shoddy. We're in like rural Ohio.
Oh, well, hey, you're closer to us.
yeah.
We're all in Lansing, Michigan, or Port Huron. So we're all in Michigan. So you're pretty close to us right now.
Yeah, I'll be moving to Portland like soonish.
That's
So
exciting. Yeah, I've heard great things about Portland.
yeah, so that'll be close to Lansing, like closer, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just I think we can start just by giving a brief introduction since we haven't been able to include you in that. Ken, would you like to start? And then we'll kind of go around. And I know you've met Nicole, but we could always redo that as well.
Yeah, great. I'm McKenna. I'm a recent college graduate. I graduated with a degree in politics. It was a very theoretical, very philosophical degree. I had a very good education, but I didn't really get a lot of the real world application of like politics and activism that I am like looking to do as my career. So I'm really looking for this opportunity to help me do that and help me really get into like nonprofit work and activism, which is what I really want to do.
That's fantastic. Well, we're happy to have you here. And we look forward to hopefully working on you with some proposal writing and perhaps joining in on a project by the end of the summer, depending on if we can get some awards under our belts. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I'll just go ahead and provide a brief introduction. I'm originally from Lansing, Michigan. I grew up here. I hated it here. I left as soon as possible. I ran away and went to France and studied in France before completing bachelor's at Michigan State University in global studies in the arts and humanities. So I understand that kind of feeling of like a lot of philosophical discussions, a lot of good ethical discussions, but not a lot of hands-on experience. So I knew that I needed to further my education somehow. And I didn't see that happening in Michigan since my background is global studies. I was like, I need to get out of here and do something global. So then I did a master's at the School of International Training, which is a part of World Learning, which is a global international development firm that has offices in 120 countries. And the program was specifically created for people leaving or coming back from the Peace Corps. So I was a part of their international like development program, and I was set to go to Cameroon for 2 years. And then at the last minute, I got an internship with the United Nations Relief and Works Agency in Palestine. So I spent a year during the Gaza war working in the West Bank. And I had been teaching English to refugees for a few years prior to that. Lansing, Michigan is a relocation site for refugees and has been since the early 90s. And so we actually have 50,000 refugee families that live throughout mid-Michigan. So I was really interested in understanding why people are pushed to force migrate and the impacts that has on communities, and also in regards to conflict resolution and resource management and logistics. While I was working in the West Bank, interesting fun fact story is in the West Bank, Israel has a lot of settlements, a lot of illegal settlements. And the settlers are not the nicest people towards Palestinians or towards aid workers in general. So when we would try to use the GPS system for Google or any major GPS, it would only show Israeli roads and not Palestinian roads. And the Israeli roads all go to settlements. So we were reliant on hand-drawn maps and outdated maps. And so part of the objectives that I was tasked with was to go and visit all of the different refugee camps and map them and map out all where the services were and the safe routes were. So I started using a technology called geographic information systems, specifically an Esri project to map out. And then I was like, this is really practical and helpful in so many ways. And so I went back and did a PhD in global governance and human security, like a dual major in public policy with a professor who specialized in GIS and specifically participatory community development with large data. So from there, I got a fellowship at C-Sketch and was also a fellow at the Sidney Topol at the Albert Einstein Institute, where I studied how social movements can use GIS to scale their initiatives and conduct counter mapping to decrease inequity that happens in the decision-making power when corporations and governments have all the access to the data and local populations don't. So we went and worked in the Caribbean in Barbuda, Antigua, which Barbuda is the last communal land system in the world. Each of the Barbudans get 3 plots of land, one for their house, one for their cattle, and one for their crops. And they live in like a symbiotic kind of place with only about 2,000 people on a 64 square kilometer island. Well, everybody wanted a piece of the island. And when I was down there doing an evaluation of this marine protection plan, where fishermen and tourists and all the residents got to participate in mapping of zones where they use natural resources, and then scientists use that data to map out and create marine protected areas. And at that time, Robert De Niro and Hewlett Packard were trying to purchase big plots of land. So it became a huge political issue. And when I was on the island, Robert De Niro was actually living there, and he had hired a bunch of people from the Bahamas to come build an international airport illegally on the island. And the government of Antigua, because Antigua and Barbuda are twin islands, and they're actually territory of the UK with a seat in Parliament. They're in conflict because Antigua wants to sell the island, the Barbudans don't, obviously because it's protected land. So this huge dispute was going on, and it was kind of showing that we needed better technology, better processes, better community engagement. And that's the same that I found anywhere in working in development, is that when outsiders, technical experts come into local communities, they often misjudge the political and social context. They often extract more information and money than they give back to the community. And I really wanted to create a way in which we could flip that development model on its head and focus really on hyper-local technical expert and consulting. So that's why, for the most part, our Michigan hub, we only work in Michigan. Our Massachusetts hub only works in Massachusetts. There are some people who have obviously moved out of location, like probably yourself, who will be coming from different places. But we usually try to focus just on our own communities, or unless we have like a friend or someone come and ask, which has happened to me several times. So I do work outside of Michigan. Nicole and I and Jeff are working on numerous projects, which we'll talk about today. But I'll go ahead and give Cassandra and Nicole the opportunity to kind of introduce themselves and what brought them to create OT, because Nicole's been helping me create everything internally.
Does she want to go first? That's a lot to follow.
Oh yeah, I can go. So I'm Nicole. You've met me. I love activism, but at some point you have to get paid. Is basically the problem. I was working full time and doing activism, sometimes full time, sometimes not that much. And I have 2 kids and a mortgage and student loan debt. And I was following Charla on Facebook, and I saw a post about her helping start like 15 nonprofits, or 17 in the past year. And I was like, I need to get in on this. So that is how I came to OT, and I left my full-time job, and I'm the lead gen coordinator now. And then I also am a consultant. And I did it because to have the ability to work on projects that I'm passionate about. Sometimes I want to have to do work to, pay the bills, which is just part of being a grown-up, but really to find projects I care about that help the planet and, social justice work. So that is why I'm here, and I'm loving it. And I just found an amazing, live internet-based spreadsheet of grants, some that fund actual activists, which is unheard of. So I'm super excited today.
That's super exciting. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. This woman just made it on something called Airtable, and I'm loving it. So yeah,
nice.
I'm good because I'm finding money for all of us.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Nicole. Go ahead, Cassandra.
So I am Cassandra. I graduated from LCC in 2007 with a general associate's degree. I worked there longer than I needed to because I loved the school so much that I just kept taking classes and classes. And then I took a break and I focused on creativity, and I got a job at Michael's where I was teaching every class that I could except for knitting, because I don't know how to do that. And in that process of trying to find a way to have my own classes not in the classroom, I actually met Anne Wright, who used to work with Bridget Doyle for the art space.
Mhm.
So
I know Bridget.
from a distance, I got to watch her put that together and to put a team together, and that was really cool. And that helped me to meet the people at the Fledge. And so I did my fourth art show through Art Space at the Fledge, and the rest has been just one project after another with them. I'm very, very happy. I think, Charlotte, that was the first time I ever saw you or heard of you. You were working out of there, and I checked out the website at some point and was like, this can't be real. Like the initial launch, it was just talking about wanting to consult with nonprofits. And it was just like, at some point, I'm going to do whatever I can to be part of that. So thank you for letting me be here. Definitely.
Yeah. No, it's really nice to have you, and it's nice to have another person. We do have a hub in Boston. You'll get an opportunity to meet Jeff. And then we have two Jeffs. The crazy part is they both have an animal. One has a cat and the other one has a dog named Hermes. This happened completely by accident. They both have a master's in public administration. Like there are so many parallels to our Jeffs and Nicole. It's like weird. They live in like a parallel existence.
It is weird, but they're pretty different people.
Yeah, they are. And then we have George Chichau, and he is from Poland originally, but went to school with me at UMass Boston. We have another person who's joining the team there. Her name is Erica Roper, and hopefully another gentleman named Peter. Here in Michigan, we have me and Nicole, and then am I missing somebody else?
Zara.
My brain isn't working. I was like, there's beginning to be a lot of us, and eventually it's going to get to a point where me being able to name them all the top of my head is going to become quite difficult. But the goal here is really to kind of facilitate a cooperative. Right now on paper, I'm still the owner of the company. We're a corporation, but I'm going to announce making this a full-fledged cooperative at the end of this month, where consultants, the ones that are already here, will have an opportunity to purchase shares in the company. And then moving forward, when we bring on another consultant, there will be like a registration fee that they have to pay that buys their shares that they can take back out with them when they leave the company. So I'm meeting with my local student housing cooperative to talk with them about how their accounts and things are set up. But that's the model that I really want to focus on with OT. And I think that's why our model is going to kind of work a little bit better than some other models, just because it's going to be highly decentralized. A lot of times consultancies, they can grow to a certain point, but it's always like one person managing everyone. And then it caps out. There's only so much one person can do. And so instead of our clients necessarily going into contract with organizing together the company, they go into contract with that individual consultant.
Oh.
And that they're the lead, and then they work with and subcontract other consultants to help them on those projects.
So you still have a team, but you have more control over which direction the project goes. Because when I was reading, and I'm maybe jumping ahead, I'm sorry, but I saw some of the technical things that have to do with projects and how you should be relying mostly on the hub to make decisions. So would that change?
I think that you wouldn't rely as much on your hub lead as you would the lead of an individual project, from project to project. And then it would be the lead, and the other consultants would be on their own to negotiate how much money they and how they want to split those funds, which I think fosters a lot of self-reliant, so that they can then feel comfortable enough to go out and find their own clients and also bring them in. Whereas right now it's been very top heavy at the top, bringing in all of the clients, which makes for a lot of work.
I bet.
And we're actually, that's the piece that we're going to have you help us out for the summer. It's our goals that by the end of the summer, you'll feel comfortable being able to search for a wide array of different types of projects. Hi. She's so cute, Nicole. I have a almost 2-year-old son, so you might have the opportunity to hear him wilding out behind me.
Violent out.
Yeah, wilding out. That's what 2-year-olds do. But the goal for your internship, and you guys can also add additional goals to this, but the way that we've kind of conceptualized it is that you'll be able to search for requests for proposals from businesses and governments. And you'll also be able to apply for grants through foundations. Now, does anybody know the difference? Not you, Nicole, can't answer this question. Does anybody know the difference between the processes in regards to a government grant versus a for-profit grant versus a foundation grant?
Is it how they're submitted?
It's yes, definitely. The submission process is very different. So that's one element. Any other thoughts or guesses? So in addition to the process of submitting, there's going to be a lot of requirements that are quite different. And then the way that we address those differences are also different. So for RFPs, so you'll hear a bunch of different questions. We're trying to make a list of terms and write them out. So if you hear a term, please let us know. In the collective, you'll go back through the history and you'll see a spreadsheet document or a document with the words that we're going to define for like a user manual. So if there's ever an acronym or anything that we use that you don't understand, please let us know. So we have an RFI, which is a request for information. We have an RFP, which is a request for a proposal. For government agencies, you'll find that the majority of those RFPs are going to be on BidNet or .gov. And those are often very difficult because they're so vague. And you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as you start reviewing your first sets of RFPs from governments. You're going to be like, wow, they don't tell you that much. Like, they want you to give us a price estimate on interviews, but they don't tell you how many interviews are needed because I don't even know how many employees are in that section of the government. Sometimes there are opportunities that happen a few weeks before the proposals due, where the municipality will welcome you to ask questions. You cannot ask governments questions except for that specific designated time because they want to make it as equal as possible, and they have very strict terms and regulations. So you'll be able to go to that, ask questions, and others will, and then they'll usually transcribe it and then send that out. So if you missed the deadline, make sure you always go back and look at the questions that were asked and the questions that were answered, because it might provide you with a little bit more background that'll help you draft a proposal better. Does anyone have any questions so far?
So many.
So for a for-profit company, we might find a request for a proposal or even just a regular kind of application where they'll ask just for our CVs. These can be found on like Idealist. They can be found on LinkedIn. We've had a lot of success about finding contracts from for-profit businesses on LinkedIn. But the majority of for-profit work often comes through word of mouth. So we as HQ reach out to a number of for-profit businesses and partners that our consultants have worked with in the past or have just met at networking opportunities. And then they'll ask us directly for a proposal. Those usually work out better because we're usually the only person they ask to provide a proposal to, whereas big calls are open to everyone. And then nonprofits, which are mostly funded through foundations, private and public foundations, their process is very different and depends very much on the type of award and the amount of the award. So when you're going after a foundation, you'll see that they want an LOI. And an LOI is a letter of inquiry. And this letter is just like the letter you would write for an employer, cover letter, stating what your organization does, who it's helping, how is it solving a problem, what your needs are, and how much you're going to be asking for from that foundation. And they'll look over the letter and either ask you to submit a full proposal, or they'll tell you, no, we're not interested. They may also not allow for a request for LOI. You might actually only be able to talk to them if they reach out to you first, which is how a lot of private foundations are set up. You'll go to their website and they'll say by invitation only.
One thing to add to that is I have found that a lot of the private foundations have program officers that you can call and talk to, and that's already saving me a lot of time. Just like the community foundation told me, we don't approve anything if a nonprofit hasn't been in existence for at least 1 year and has a year of documentation. So sometimes just making that phone call saves a lot of time.
Yeah, I would say if there's a phone available, I know we've all gotten really phone adverse in this day and age, but honestly, most of these people who work at big businesses, who are at the hiring level in HR, the ones who are at the level in those foundations, they're probably going to be over the age of 50 anyways, and email is not going to be their favorite place to talk. They're going to want to talk in person on the phone still. So it's kind of up to us and our generation, who's very phone adverse, to kind of meet them halfway, since they're the ones still giving us money and their generation has most of the wealth. So we need to be very deliberate about that. I like this day and age because some people will even, agree to meet you via Zoom and you actually get to see them face to face, which didn't used to happen. It would only be phone calls. And I still think face to face is better, just because you become more humanized when you're there smiling and talking back and forth. So we definitely encourage that type of engagement. So are there any questions about those 3 types of proposals that we go after? Perhaps you want to go over some examples.
You said for-profit, nonprofit, and government are the 3 types.
Yep, those are the 3 types of clients that we serve.
Okay.
You want me to pull up Flux and show them that? That way they can see. I think I have all 3 in there. I just found some.
Perfect. So we'll go over Flux, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about.
Did you get my agenda? It's in the chat.
Oh, I didn't. Thank you.
Yeah, there's an agenda in the chat and it has a couple links.
Perfect. I feel like I didn't add my password again. It's asking me what my password is.
Charlotte. You just reset it like Monday.
I know, but I've reset it every single week for like the last 3 weeks.
Why don't you write it down on a sticky note?
Okay, I figured it out. Because I only have like 20 passwords. They're all on rotation. So I just have to go down the 20 passwords that I know. All right, so. Once you're into Flux, have either of you engaged with that yet?
I've looked around a bit, but I haven't tried to edit anything or started anything.
Perfect. Have either of you, so you both logged in. Sandra, have you been able to log in?
I believe so. I just have to find it. Sometimes I think the links get lost in my email. That's why I was asking about a separate email, because I had to struggle to find Miro today too. So let me try I'm just gonna search.
If you click on
Grant.
the agenda I put in the chat, I have both links in there for
Okay.
you.
Very cool. Yeah, I signed in. I've got 5 emails from them. So
So we have opportunities. So we have something in the grant management world called upstream. So anything that happens before the award has been granted is considered the pre-award phase, right? And in that phase, even before we apply for that opportunity, we call something upstream, right? So we're trying to capture information upstream. And this is where market intelligence comes in. This is where we get to know different foundations, even if they might not be providing money or funding. We have a list of them. We kind of just like check in with them every once in a while. You build relationships with them. So this upstream process helps prepare us to be able to go after grants before. So this system, grants, allows us to kind of coordinate. And so each new RFP or RFI or lead is an opportunity. And so you'll see at the top, it says opportunity, and then requests. Requests are the next phase. The requests means that we've decided to go after it. The RFI or RFP has a lead consultant who's willing to lead the process and begin writing part of the technical parts of the application. So you'll see when it goes from an opportunity, it says researching. So that doesn't necessarily mean that someone is actively researching it. It just means that these are under research. So these are available. Anything in the opportunities are available to any consultant to pick up and be a lead and begin working on that proposal. Not all of these will be assigned to someone. In fact, we defer a lot of them because of time constraints. Perhaps we don't have the technical expertise either. But this is where we find different opportunities for our consultants based off of bidnet.gov, LinkedIn, and all these other third-party applications that we use. And we filter through all of those to ensure that the proposals that we bring to grants that are used by the clients are fit within the narrow gaps of our expertise. And that's probably one of the hardest parts, I think. And Nicole, maybe if you found this to be true, is getting to understand what the technical expertise and limitations of our consultants.
Yes, it is. And I've interviewed them all. And I still, sometimes I find stuff and I'm like, oh, I think Jeff would be really good at this. But then he looks at it and he's like, that looks terrible. I mean, he doesn't say that to me, but so I end up putting stuff in here. A lot of times the stuff I put in, I kind of know no one's going to want it. But if I think there's a chance that someone might be interested, it's better to put it in so that they have the opportunity to at least take a look at it. And maybe I'll be surprised about what they want to do.
Exactly. And then once they've picked it up and they've edited it and they said, okay, we're going to change this to draft, which is in the request process. This lets our team know that they've started the draft. They're going to go ahead and choose themselves as a lead on this proposal, which will keep them with updates about timelines in their email. They're also going to make sure that, oh, this one doesn't have, this proposal must be right here. Usually it has all the documents directly in the file. They can download them, print them off if they need to. And then when they're finished with a proposal, they'll add them here as well, so that everyone can find all of the materials in this proposal writing process here. So that way, let's say, oh, Jeff wanted to do this and then realized he actually is busy because another client went too far, and now he's going to turn it over to Nicole. Well, all the proposal application material and the RFP and the link to the Google Drive where we store communications between us and the client are all here. So this is how we track that process. This is not how we track the implementation process. This is only the pre-award. The first step in kind of getting to understand how to write a proposal for any of these is finding them, reading through them, getting familiar with what they look like and what the requirements are. So for the first couple of weeks, I'm just going to have you work with Nicole. Today, she's going to go over where she goes to find some of these, probably set them up with BidNet. And then next week, you guys will try to find time either to meet together or separately to between two different platforms, go through and pick and bring them over here. And then we can review them next week and see if they fall within those criteria that Nicole will just discuss with you, because we do have overview data on all of our consultants that you can read. And we can go over, she'll go over a few too, and we'll talk about who they fit with and why some of them don't work. Are there any questions about kind of that macro level view of what we're doing here before I hand it over to Nicole for the nitty gritty details of what she does each week to collect this information? All right, Nicole, I'll hand it over to you.
Are you going to stay on?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Okay.
I want. Pardon?
I was going to mute myself. I do have a hard stop at 1.
Okay. Before you have to go, then I just wanted to do a technology check with them and make sure that they have access to what they need.
Mhm.
Like, you're both in Flux, right?
Mhm.
Are both of you on the Mighty Network?
Yep, they're both in the Mighty Network.
Okay, and Canva access, or we're not there yet?
I
believe
just looked around Canva today. I'm good.
Yeah, I think we got them all on board for that.
Okay, and then the drive, what are we sharing with them? Because there's some, I know they don't, there's just some stuff they're gonna need to see.
So let me show you real quick. All right. So they get access to the proposal team.
I don't even think I have access to that. Oh, I do, okay.
You do. There we go. And then remember that let's say, so they have all access to all the handbook examples. I'm going to put some proposal examples in here too. And then I'm also going to put some, I think actually. Oh, okay, great. I'm gonna drop some grant writing and proposal writing literature in here for you to review. And then I'm also going to put so being a little slow, sorry. I don't want the whole thing. When you share something in their folder with them, you don't have to make like a copy of it, so it's not updated, but it will be databases. you can just right click and then add a shortcut to their folder.
Okay.
Just like you add their shortcut to your folder. Where is it? Now I don't know where it is. Clients, consultant. You can keep going. I don't need you to wait for me.
Okay.
I'm also going to be, I had to redraft some of the language in the non-disclosure agreement. So you will be getting an email from sign request for your signature, which just goes over like, don't share information with others, like internal information from the Google Drive with outside people, and don't try to steal our clients when you leave. So I'll send that over to you shortly.
Okay. All right, so why don't technology is good. Let me share my screen first of all. Okay, so this is Flux. You've looked at that. Where most of this comes from is BidNet. And I can give you our password. I don't want to put it in this document though, because I removed the protections from it so that it was easier to share. Okay, so this is BidNet. Once you get logged in, there's two different ways you go about finding things in here. The first is for Michigan. You click right here where it says My Purchasing Groups. You go to OTC RFP search. And this shows we have someone before I started put all these NIGP categories together. It was probably Charlotte, I assume. They're already clicked, so you don't have to go through and do this every time. And these are the ones that fall within those categories that we have selected that we believe we're qualified for. So what I do is I go through and I go every Monday and look at what has been uploaded in the past week. So for example, zoning ordinance update, click on that. Here it tells you some basic information. The dates here are really important. If there's questions, sometimes there's a mandatory pre-bid conference, the closing date. And then what else is important is the documents. I download them, and a lot of them, like you have to download one to be a document holder. And we're all using the same OT account, so any of us doing it counts as OT being a document holder. So then I open that up because sometimes I can't, like with this, a zoning ordinance, I don't think we're interested, but it's worth opening up and looking at. And you'll get better at skimming through these. A lot of the beginning, a lot of it's the preparation and submission. You usually have to scroll down to see the scope, which is the important part. It tells you what it's about. I mean, all of it's important, but I don't even see the scope. Oh, here it is. Request for proposals. So they're looking for proposals from qualified planning firms and organizations to review, revise, and completely update the contents of the City of Westland zoning ordinance. It sounds boring to me. However, I'm not the only person who works here, so I would still upload this into Flux in case someone else wants to take this project. Does that make sense? And in order to do that, I would go to track new opportunity. I guess I can do it right now and show you. The foundation name was the City of Westland, which might be in here. Only one way to find out. And they are perfect. If not, I'd have to click on this and look again. Type it in here. Most of the time they're not there either, and I have to manually track. So there I enter the funder name, which I get off the abstract page or off the RFP itself. I never know the EIN. If I can easily find a website and an address, I do that. Add those in there. Charla wants us to gather as much information as we can, but it's not always easily accessible. And sometimes there's multiple addresses listed, like if it's a giant corporation, they've got 17 addresses. So you're not always going to have that information, but enter as much as you can here. So I'm going to hit cancel because I already have it. Then the project title is zoning ordinance update. You know, a lot of copying, pasting here, so I have to type everything 50 times. So the amount, most of the time I leave blank because very rarely do they give you a budget. If they give you one though, I'll put that in and whoever writes the proposal will change it later. So maybe there's a $20,000 budget. I'll put that in so that our consultants can have an idea of how much money it might be worth. Sometimes that's a driving factor in picking a project. They see something's worth, you know, we can get a $60,000, probably people are going to want to try it. But when whoever writes the proposal, they will go in and update the amount to what maybe the budget is 60,000, but we only asked for 58. So they'll go in and change that. And then if it gets awarded, we'll go back and change it again if needed. But if you don't know the amount, it's not a big deal. Most of them are blank. It's probably pretty rare that either of you are going to be assigning a team lead, but if you needed to, you could here. Like if I find a project I really want, like the water one that the climate change one, I assigned myself. Or this, for now, I'll leave this blank, and this is something I can work with you on in the future. It's also a way if there's something like, if it's something about cannabis and it's not in the state of Massachusetts, I know Jeff Moyer wants it, and I'm just going to go ahead and assign him. So he gets an alert and he looks at it. But a lot of times I don't necessarily know who's going to want it. So I leave that blank until someone comes in, because we can edit this at any point. I'm in here editing things all the time. Okay, so for the dates, the easiest place to find them is in BidNet in this notice. Most of the time they will have all of the dates you need here. Depending on who, any organization can put out an RFP and they get to pick what they want to offer. Some of them will have a questions deadline. Some of them will have a mandatory pre-bid conference. Some of them will have none of that, just a closing date. So you find as many dates as you can right here, and then you enter them in. If there's not an LOI deadline, you leave it blank. You pretty much have to have a submission deadline. I think I've only found one ever that didn't have a submission deadline, so definitely track that down. You don't need to worry about the confidence percentage right now. That's something the consultant will enter, or HQ will enter when we write the proposal and submit it. You're not going to worry about the Google Drive folder yet, correct? Yeah, don't.
Right, we only create a Google Drive folder when the proposal, when it's gone from a request to like a confirmation that we're moving through to the, like we've been awarded. So once we're awarded, that's when we create the Google Drive folder.
Okay, thank you. I'm supposed to be entering these and I'm just talking. Okay, so our questions are due July 8th. Our closing date is July 12th. You're not going to worry about the team members assisting. You absolutely have to post this link here, which for here through BidNet, it's super easy. You just copy and paste from the abstract page and then put it back in. This is really important because in case you miss anything, whoever the consultant is needs to be able to go back and find the original proposal. Also, a lot of times they will put out addendums, and when they do that Q&A, they'll publish that. So we have to have this link in here. The why didn't this get awarded? That is not until later. For the pre-bid conference, you want to put it in here. The project description, sometimes BidNet tells you enough. Here, they didn't tell me anything at all. So I'm gonna have to go into the RFP itself. And I am going to copy and paste this chunk right here of it. There's no such thing as too much information here. I mean, don't copy and paste the whole RFP, but like, if it's 2 paragraphs or 3 or 4 paragraphs of background or intro on it, just go ahead and put that in because that saves all of us the time of digging through the document to find it ourselves. The tags here, zoning isn't on here, and I didn't read it that well. What the proposal is. So this might be urban planning and or policy would be the 2 I would pick here. Urban planning and public policy analysis. If you have questions about these, it's okay. Like, feel free to ask me. You might want to go through and look at them and see if you have questions. I feel like a lot of it is pretty common sense. And also, if you like really don't know, it's okay to leave it blank, but try to fill this out to the best of your ability. Sometimes it's super obvious that it's like logo design or DEI. It says it right in the title. So most of the time, they're pretty obvious. Okay, now I'm going to hit save here, but I'm not done because I cannot upload my document until I hit save. It's stupid, I know. Now I can upload my document. So first I have to download it to my computer, which loves this. And now upload it. Okay, now anyone on our team, you guys included, can click on this and you can preview it without having to download it to your computer. So that way I'm the only one junking up my drive. Okay, I can delete stuff. You also can download it, but especially if you just want to review something, sometimes these get really long and you don't necessarily want to download 500 pages a day. So do you have any questions so far on this part of it?
We're also recording this and we'll be putting it up on our YouTube channel. So you can, of course, go back and reference it. So I'll send that out as soon as I have it uploaded. Thank
you. Okay. So back into BidNet. There's another one here. Hosted intelligent transportation system. I doubt this is something we're qualified for. Well, maybe Charlotte could do it, but Charlotte's not taking on new projects, so I don't think this is something we are qualified for. This, I'll just show you because this next one is the one that I'm so excited about. Community and Organizational Climate Action Plan. I uploaded it on Monday, but here they have a better description in BidNet, and they have a mandatory pre-bid event. So I guess if you come across this, you can assign a task right here in slots, and you can assign it to me and let me know there's a mandatory pre-bid event. Event on 6 and the date. That way I get a notification and I don't miss it because it's on me as lead gen, I believe, to register and attend these. Unless I know what consultant is going to want it and I can get them to do it. Then you can select a due date. I usually pick due dates in like 2 days, just because a lot of this stuff is time sensitive. But if it, either way, this is going to generate an email to me I'm gonna create a task. I'm gonna get this little pop-up because I assigned it to myself telling me I have to do something, okay? I'm gonna complete this task here because I don't actually have to do it for this one. But if you come across those mandatory pre-bid events, you can add a task, assign it to me, and then I can go in and take action. That is not your responsibility. Okay, the other way.
I'm gonna get going so I can prep for my meeting. It was so nice to begin working with both of you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Also, we ask like at the end of the week on Fridays, if you could send us CC both me and Nicole an email with the number of hours that you completed that week and what tasks you completed while you were doing those. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Great.
Bye.
Okay, so back to BidNet. That is how you find the ones for Michigan. The ones for Massachusetts are different. You have to go up here to solicitations. I'm sorry, do both of you have time? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So you go up here to solicitations and then you go to statewide organizations. And then you have to click this box that says my solicitations only. And then you go to location and click on Massachusetts. Why it's different, I don't know. Well, I guess I do know. Massachusetts primarily uses a platform for their RFPs called Combis. What did I get here? And this happens every time I hit the back button. It's annoying. Okay, I clicked on it itself. So they use this system called Combis, and it's harder to find the information for theirs. Though then they have like a person who's probably someone like me or you is going in and pulling the Massachusetts data from Combis and entering into BidNet direct. So a lot gets lost in translation and you have to do more digging. Like they're sending me right away. For more information, go to Combis. Depending on who entered it, I may or may not be able to find real information here. It looks like no. Oh, but there's a bulletin and here's a website I can go to get the actual stuff. Sometimes it's nearly impossible to find. And they want me to say, actually, I have a username for them. Okay, but you don't have to do all that right now. They also should be the documents, and this is the frustrating part about Massachusetts. The only document they put is this, which I'm going to bet is 100% useless. Mostly useless. It has the website. That's the important part. So I am gonna have to sign into that. Hopefully I wrote down the password. What do you think, guys? Did I put the password where it belongs? 50-50 chance. No, I did not. Store. Oh, look, Google Drive stored it. Okay, so now I can see this, although I don't remember the name of it. Name was pavement markings. I did not need to go through all this work for one named pavement markings because we're not going to do this. But we can find, now I can find the actual RFPs, which are going to have the information that I need. While I'm in here, I see this one says feasibility study, and George likes to do feasibility studies. So even if I didn't come across this in BidNet later, I would put this into Flux and tag George in it. Are you following?
So it's just a different place to find the proposal for that.
Yeah, and it with the Massachusetts one, it really varies on where they're going to take you. Sometimes they'll have, we're not going to do this, a website on here. This is taking me back to that combis, and we don't, because we pay for access to BidNet, we don't pay for access to combis, although that might change in the future, I don't know. Here again, they put a link to where I can find the documents. So it takes a little bit of digging, but at least they gave me a link because that's not always the case. So in Massachusetts tends to have more than Michigan and they're more work. So that kind of annoys me, but you know, I still go through and enter the ones that I think we would be eligible for. And I'm going to put in your drive when I figure out how. I couldn't get it a few minutes ago. This document that I made, and I pulled most of this from the spreadsheet, which I think Charla already sent you, put in your drive. But I find the spreadsheet harder to read than just a Word document. And then I added my interview stuff. This is all of our consultants. Some of them have a brief bio and then a list of stuff they do. So you will want to make yourself familiar with this if we have you doing searching for them. I can do right now. Copy a link and put it in our agenda. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you with all of this technology or don't go too far over on the time. So let's, I guess the next thing on the agenda anyhow was feedback from you. How is the Miro board going for you?
I can't get back into it. I tried to edit and now it's like put in comment. I don't know. Like I can open Miro, but it won't let me open that one for whatever reason.
I see that. Okay. What's going on?
So when I go to miro.com/app/dashboard, it has me logged in. I've got the S21 intern welcome board. I can open that. But if I zoom in.
I can see you on there. What if,
Oh, I don't know what happened before. It's fine now. It might have been the link I was using because I'm still learning how many different websites there are, but it seems to be letting me. Yeah, just kidding. Never mind.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're in. So I don't know if you saw in here this part that doesn't look pretty, little technology overview. The amount of different platforms that we use, I found very overwhelming. And that is the feedback I get from pretty much everyone we bring on is they're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look for what. So I gave you a little rundown of it here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you can text or email me and ask me. If you're really looking for something and you just don't know where it is, don't be afraid to just reach out and ask. I don't want you unable to do your work because you can't find something. So I if this doesn't help and you've looked and you can't find it, ask me and I'll let you know where it is.
I like that it's in the agenda. That makes it less overwhelming. But so when you're sharing stuff to the drive for us, OT has its own. Oh, very cool. I
This
think I
is,
just found
yeah,
another
this is
document.
mine. And
Yeah.
she said I had access to your folder, but I don't see it. It's probably buried somewhere. Charlotte, this is really organized. Sometimes to the point that I can't find things because I have to click on so many folders to get to them. And I don't know. Remember what she said that was called, that file? I put it in it.
We've got the only one I see that was added is OT intern proposal team. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, okay.
That's the only one I have.
Okay.
And then it's got resources in there. It's got proposal examples, handbook.
Okay, so here. Yep, she put this sheet.
I just requested access.
Oh, you don't have access? I don't know if I can approve that or if it's a Charlotte thing. Is a Charlotte thing. She'll have to give you access, but I can show you. This is those codes that I was showing you in BidNet on the side. You don't really have to worry about those. This where it says services is the other place you can find all the information I put into the Word drive, which I still can't figure out how to move. I'll do that when I'm not live streaming you. But I did put that part of it back into your meeting minutes.
Okay.
I find that the more links, especially you're just getting started, and if you need links to anything, let me know and I can put them right in the agenda so you can just go to one document to find stuff until you get the hang of it.
The links here that we can see in the chat are helpful. And it let me open that document, but I don't see where it is saved into my drive. So do I need to be syncing, or if I sign in again? I don't know why Google, when I sign in once and then click that link on the chat that we have, it doesn't register that I've already logged in. So that's fun.
I don't know either. You should be able to. I need to move it. I need to make a shortcut in your drive.
That'd be helpful. Because now I can't find my passwords. I have them on a sticky note somewhere. So.
Okay, so I will add a couple shortcuts to your drive and I'll include this in here for you so that you have access to more of the different stuff you need. The only other thing I had was, looking at the Miro board, were either of you able to do this part, the first event? Okay, so we did the intro session. I don't know why it's not letting me move this. Maybe because I'm screen sharing. I need to move that. But were you able to do these other classes within the Mighty Networks platform?
I am up to proposal writing. That's where I got.
Okay, so you did 3 of them? That's good.
I started a month ago because I didn't know any better.
Oh, well, you're ahead of the game. McKenna, how about you?
I started a couple of them, I believe. I need to either, I started the proposal writing one. That's where I'm at. Yes.
Okay. So that will continue to be one of your main tasks for the remainder of this week, and the beginning of next week is to complete those courses. And then the other thing, I don't know why it's not going. I want you to do, can I add a sticky? Is review a couple RFPs in Flux. Like, all right. Literally read them over. I know you both have time limits, so I'm not asking you to go over your hours, but if you complete the courses and still have time left within your internship, then look over those RFPs that are in Flux so that you have a better understanding of what they are. And if you see one that you're interested in that has a due date that's at least like 3 weeks out, and some of them, I find them a week before they're due and we're writing them like in 3 days, which is not something I want to ask you to do. I want to make sure that when you're writing your first couple, you have enough time for us to collaborate on it. So, but if you find one that is due at least like 3 weeks out and you are interested in writing it, you can create a task like I showed you earlier and just put that in there, like assign it to yourself and just put in there that you're interested in writing it. That should generate a notification for me. And then we can talk about it at the next meeting about how to get you started on that. That proposal writing course that Charla put together, that has a link to our Canva, which is where our proposals live. So that is the other thing that if you have time to do would be beneficial for you, is look at past proposals in Canva. Again, just to give you an idea of what they look like. Charla has the template down pretty good. It's a lot of copying and pasting. And I will definitely, once you've both completed the proposal writing course, I will go over the basics of writing a proposal with you. If you're coming across questions about literally anything, start jotting them down or typing them somewhere, because that means that we didn't include enough information into our onboarding and we need to add it. So not only am I going to answer your questions, but you're going to be helping us to make our onboarding process better for future interns. But before I ask you to write any proposals, I will definitely do some like interactive training with you on it. But I think it would be beneficial for you to just look at a couple. Do you have any questions?
How do we submit ours? Is that just an email or do we need to create a timesheet type of?
You can just do it in an email. Are you both pretty good with Google Docs?
Yeah.
If you wanted to create it in a Google document, whether you want to do Excel or Word, it really doesn't matter to me, but then give Charla and I access to it and shoot us an email that you've done that. That would probably be a better way for us to keep it all in one place so that we aren't digging for find all the emails at the end of your internship. So you can do kind of like we do in our meeting minutes, which that wasn't what I wanted. You open that. We try to keep stuff in our Google Sheets end up being really long and messy sometimes, which is fine because we have everything in the same place. So some of the instructions I actually gave you today are in the meeting minutes from last week that I was going to share with people, and then no one showed up. But about how to upload stuff into Flux. So if you want to do the same, just create a Google Doc, and then also on Friday, just shoot Charla and I an email saying, hey, I updated my hours in the Google Doc, so that we have like a weekly check-in for you, but also we're keeping all of your information in one spot instead of 13 different emails. That sound fair?
Yep. Yeah, because I'm trying to log hours for several things, so having one document is going to be very helpful.
Awesome. Any other
I've also
questions?
used like Toggle for I've also used like a time tracking like app in
Ooh.
my just internet browser before when I'm doing like like research work or something that's all like
Oh.
remote, and I found it's really helpful, and you can like say like what project it's for and stuff and like color code things. It's been really helpful.
That
What was
sounds
that called?
cool. Can you export the data out of it? Or is that more for you and then you like record it somewhere else?
There's like files that you can make and like tags, and you can like share
Nice.
your like files or projects like with people and how many like hours you've done. But I've been like tracking it on Toggle and then like putting it in like a doc or something like that for other projects that I've done.
Okay. That sounds like a good tool. Thank you. I'm gonna put that in our meeting minutes. Any other questions?
I was wondering what like day of the week and what time the Scrum meetings tend to be, since you said that it would probably be helpful for us to sit in on those at least like a couple times.
Yeah, they are
Or as often
Wednesdays
as
at
possible.
3. Should be able to see them in the Mighty Network, but I can also just find it real quick and drop it in for you. Show you this. Okay, so the easiest way, I have everything synced up to my calendar, which I find to be helpful. But also if for some reason the calendar link isn't working or something weird, usually I can click on events. Oh, okay, so it's right here, the weekly Scrum. I'm going to have this problem all the time. Just going to copy it, and it wants to open it. Copy the link. Okay. So let me put it in these notes. There you go. So now you have that.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Pardon?
Just thank you very much. Having that all of these links like in one place will be just very helpful.
I agree. When I started, I still had another job that I was working full time. And that was one of the most discouraging parts of it for me, is I felt like I couldn't find anything. And Charlotte knows it secondhand. So then I felt like I was irritating her, asking her all the time, like, where am I supposed to be doing this? Like, which platform?
Where am I?
So yeah, anything I can do to make this easier, and you'll get the hang of it, of where everything is. But in the beginning, it's very overwhelming. So do you feel like you have enough to keep you busy until next week?
Maybe. We'll see. To just review, our to-do list is on Miro. And are we, because I see that it's one document for everyone, so we shouldn't be moving those. We should just be adding those to our task document. Like the sticky notes themselves.
What we're gonna do is move them when you've both completed it. So
Okay.
that was kind of my question to Charlotte too, that I thought we should make a copy of it, but she said that she'd prefer for you two to be working as a team. So do you have each other's contact information?
Probably wouldn't be that hard to find.
Well,
Yeah, I
why?
don't believe so. We should probably just like, because you're on the email, so I'll just like email you like
Yeah,
phone numbers, like
That's
stuff
fine.
like that.
absolutely.
You can also put it in the meeting minutes.
In the Google documents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
And I'll put mine in there too. Again, so we don't have to search all over the world for it. But yeah, we will move those over when you've both completed them.
Okay. Where should I be finding meeting minutes? In the OT lead creation.
No, in the chat on Zoom.
Oh, there's a chat for Zoom. The recorded chat for Zoom. I don't know that I want to put my email there, but I will send you an email, McKenna, so you have mine.
Great.
Wait, what did you click on that saying recorded?
This video. If we put it in the chat, I think the chat comments are also recorded. No?
Oh, there's a link Google Doc.
Yeah. Okay.
You
That
click
one.
on the dot.
And
Yep.
then the Google Doc has all the notes
Okay.
and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I can't edit it yet, but I will. To find my Gmail password.
Oh, okay. I was say I opened this up so that
Gotcha.
you wouldn't
I'm
have to request
following.
access. Okay, so yes, your to-do list is still in the Miro board. And right now it's just, learning and review. And feel free to play around in the network as well, in the Mighty network. So I'm sure if you haven't figured it out yet, there's two parts of it. There's the front end of the website that you can see when you're not logged in. And then there's the app part you can see when you are logged in. And they have very different features. The app part is where we create our courses, and we kind of treat it like Facebook for work. So feel free to interact in there, to read stuff, to, start commenting on people's posts if you want to. If you've come across an article that you feel like is relevant to OT and you want to share it with us, you can post it in there.
Okay.
None of us really post any personal stuff about our kids or our families or stuff like that, but we all, we can share professional things in there,
That makes sense.
things you think someone else might appreciate, or, maybe for
Pictures
something
of
you
my
want to,
chickens.
pardon?
Pictures of my chickens.
I got 5 chickens.
Yeah, that came up last time. I finally have the 4 at our home in their little pen, and I can see them from here, and it's making me happy. And then the next day I found a bunny on accident, so now I have a rabbit.
Oh,
Probably gonna have a petting zoo by Friday.
you're gonna have a little urban farm there, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time if you don't have any more questions. You're both welcome to come to Scrum today. It's not mandatory though. I know I just told you about it the time 5 minutes ago. They happen every week. You can come in the future too. And we will just plan on meeting again next Wednesday, same time. And feel free to contact me between now and then if you have any questions about anything.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Great to see you both.
See you too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.